Stub your toe? Have you ever gotten something for free because it didn't scan right at the checkout? Have you ever eaten so much cheese that you had violent diarrhea at your in-laws' house? Have you ever wondered where all the badass babes were in your history textbooks? Well, we're here to answer one of those questions. Welcome to Whining About Herstory, the women's history podcast where two baddies with breasties. I'm rolling with it. I'm committing.
Yeah, let's do
Whine
it.
about women from history that you probably haven't heard of, but definitely should have. Or maybe you never wanted to know at all.
Oh.
Welcome to Whining About Herstory. I'm Emily.
I'm Kelly.
And that is my Pauper's version of what Jonathan Frakes does at the weird
Yeah,
unsolved.
the beginning, yeah.
Just the weird sets of questions he asks.
I love it.
Oh my God. You know what's terrible? I've actually met him. I met him at a con and had my picture taken with him.
Really?
Yeah. So every time I imagine him, I just imagine or every time I talk about him, I just imagine that photo and I'm just like, that dude has no fucking idea.
That's
how
super funny.
Batshit insane I am. So.
Okay, then.
What's up?
What's up?
Oh my God. Seriously, if you haven't checked out the Jonathan Frakes asking rhetorical questions in both
so funny.
Just the compilation and in slow-mo version where he sounds super drunk.
Do it.
Treat yourself.
After this episode.
Don't delay your fucking happiness. Protect your peace. So before we get started, I did want to shout out the fact that we reached our goal of gaining 5 new members to the funerary cult.
Welcome to the cult.
Bam. Move over, other cult leaders. We're way cooler than you because we're not exploiting people for money and sex.
I mean, not really the second one.
We're not exploiting people for money. We're giving them content.
That is true.
Yeah, we're not
There is
asking
a
them-
mutual exchange.
We are not asking them to sign over all of their earthly goods because the mother comet is going to cross paths with, Cellulon 6 and we're all going to be evaporated up into the God heaven
That's true.
or whatever the fuck people believe. There's a
Emily's
mutual exchange.
starting a new cult now.
It's a new cult called, I don't fucking know.
Mother Comet.
I have no fucking know. Mother God. That's actually a really good
Right?
idea. Damn it. So Kelly, in November, we will be releasing a special Patreon exclusive episode where Kelly is going to get fucking 3 sheets to the wind. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're just going to see what the fuck happens. And she is going to pull out Greek myths and gods from a bowl or a hat or some other receptacle to be determined. And then just talk about them.
Yep.
No notes.
Do not be too excited.
No notes. Okay, fuck you, Kelly. That is the opposite of what I am trying to do here. I am trying to get people jazzed.
Emily's be excited. And I'm I don't know.
We are excited. We're ready for this. Or not. Whatever's fucking funnier, you guys. But we're going to be doing it. It's going to be
it will be fun.
Audio and video on Patreon. We're going to do it. It's going to be great. So here's the thing. Even if you didn't join in time to help us reach our goal,
we can still join to watch.
We still love you. You can still reap the benefits of other people's early support.
There you go.
So join us for as little as $1 a month on patreon.com. Sorry, I had a little wine burp there. On patreon.com/whining about herstory to see the drunken debauchery that is Kelly's childhood hyperfixation. Maturing in a way that no one could have ever anticipated. And honest to God, now that this has worked, I'm just gonna say the floodgates are open.
Yeah, we're gonna start finding all new stuff.
Shit's gonna start getting real weird.
I'll just start drunkenly playing video games.
Oh my God. Okay, there has to be a Twitch streamer who they just get shit faced and then they play classic Mario.
Has to be.
Or
that
Fortnite
would be fun
or something.
to get drunk and play Mario Party.
Oh my God. Okay. Get drunk, Play Mario Party. That's a good one. Play a horror game. Because can you
I
fucking
can't play
imagine?
horror games sober.
Oh my God. Here's the thing. I love horror games.
Justin would need to like leave the house.
I love
He already thinks we're too loud when we drink.
You know what? I'm sorry. We're on our hustle. Okay?
Yeah.
We're on our hustle. He can fucking leave. He's a grown ass man. But like, I really like horror games, but I don't like. Here's the thing. I do not have the time or the patience to play games and like find all the lore. What I love is watching videos that explain the lore to me.
Yep.
So I just got off of a kick of watching all these videos on Poppy's Playtime.
Oh God.
It is
Insane.
Dirk. It's Dirk, but I.
Oh yeah, I used to watch like all the videos about like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yes,
and the
we
lore.
watched those together. That's when I learned about that Chuck E. Cheese murder.
Yeah.
Remember when it started off so simple and then it got completely off the rails?
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's wild. God bless you, Matt Pat.
Yeah.
He's
He retired.
Yeah, he's retired now, which I'm like
he still owns like the Game Theorist and all the other channels.
Well, yeah, but he's not actively like in the videos or
Good for
anything
him, though.
anymore. I mean, guys like
Boy was hustling for like 10 years.
I know, but it's very much one of those like it was an insane amount of work.
Yeah.
Super long hours, crazy shit, but like a huge payoff in the end.
Yeah.
And I mean, in the creative world, that's not always a guarantee. So, I mean, dude, mad
Good
respect.
for him, yeah.
Well, and also the math involved and like the actual intelligence involved.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, no, that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Because there's a certain level of know-how that we're able to generally touch.
Yes.
But once again, join us on our Patreon at patreon.com/whiningaboutherstory. Join the funerary cult for as little as $1 a month or more.
Do it.
We wouldn't hate you.
You know you want to.
Also, if you want to sponsor a glass of wine, you can do that at buymeacoffee.com/whiningaboutherstory ? It's in our link tree.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
It's on our website.
You're
All of the
adults.
things.
You're fucking adults. You know how the internet works.
We have faith in you.
It's also probably in the episode description.
I was like, Emily might be yelling at you, but I have faith that you can figure it out.
Kelly's the nice one. I'm the one who's like immediately
I'm the nice on the surface one.
I come out swinging.
Yeah.
I come out swinging because I'm deeply insecure. Speaking of wine, Kelly, we are drinking the second in a beautiful series of special holiday wines. Today we are drinking Witch's Brew Spiced Apple. It's apple wine
we
with
haven't had this
spices
one before.
added. We have not had this one before. It is actually one that we didn't know about until we looked up the Witch's Brew and we found out there was a whole series.
Yeah.
And then we consciously decided to opt out of the pumpkin spice latte one. That being said, if you sponsor a bottle of wine
And really
for
want us to get
$15, you can tell us to go and buy that wine. We will buy it and we will try it for you.
Yeah. We might have
Okay.
to wait a while if it's out of season by the time you subscribe.
We're gonna fucking
bookmark
figure it out. We're gonna fucking figure it out. So this is from Lilanow Cellars.
Beautiful.
I thought so. And it's described as such: sweet, crisp apples, cinnamon, and brown sugar from the spice merchant. Enjoy chilled or served warm like a steamy apple crumble from
Ooh.
Grandma's kitchen.
Sounds really good.
Pairs perfectly with a cozy porch swing on a fall evening.
Or a women's history podcast.
Or a women's history podcast where it's technically fall.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for this because this was the other one where I was like, I would definitely try this.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, you know what? Cheers to Matt Pat.
Cheers to Matt
I'm just
Pat.
so happy for you, bud.
Right? I know.
I've been watching you
He
for
seems
a
like
million
a genuinely
years.
good person.
Dude,
Cheers.
if only this was Diet Coke. Cheers. Also, if we have any crossover listeners, someone definitely like DM Matt Pat and be like, hey, these two assholes with a women's history podcast are like
Fangirls.
cheering for you.
We're
That dude's
we're just so happy for you.
That dude has met the goddamn Pope. Okay? Not our current Pope.
The one before.
From Chicago.
Yeah.
Child of the corn, don't you know? That's a little bit of a mix. It's fine.
You're good.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I'm going first.
I
shall prepare.
This is really good. I mean,
Yeah.
it tastes like spiked apple cider.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. I think I like the red wine one just like slightly more, but this is still really good.
I'm going to agree. I think that it depends on the mood. If you're looking for something lighter,
Yep.
this is it. I mean, this is very much early fall. The spiced, the mulled wine of the traditional witch's brew is a little more like, okay, it be cold.
Yeah.
We're in our sweaters now.
Yeah.
Going outside
It's like this is early fall,
difficult.
like apple picking season, and the other one is like late fall into early winter.
We went apple picking.
I don't know if you'd call that apple
We
picking.
tried to go apple picking. It wasn't, as far as picking apples, it wasn't very successful. As far as learning about apples
I learned a lot.
and the history of apples,
Yes.
like in the United States and like the Midwest, absolutely fascinating. We did not come home with a lot of apples, but
There were
was
some really cool tiny
hot.
apples that were red on the inside, and they were super good.
Yeah, we just fucking ate those off the tree. It was great. But it was hot. Like we were wearing like shorts, tank tops, and that was,
Yeah, it's crazy.
the beginning of October, which
Yeah.
is insane. This is that season. We
Mm-hmm.
did get to crush apples in the
We did. We got
the
to
thingy.
help make some apple cider.
Yeah, what is it called?
An apple cider press.
Okay, yeah, where you
Or
do
a cider press,
you
I
do
think is what it is.
you do the
Yeah.
crank and it like crushes up the apples and turns it into juice and it's
Yeah.
delicious. Yeah. All right, so Kelly, who the fuck are you whining about?
I am whining about Sada Abe. Yay. Emily's like, I know this name.
So Kelly asked me.
I even when I read our list, I now double check with Emily because I'm like, I don't trust the list anymore, even though I made it.
I've got a weird. Here's the thing. I couldn't tell you all the women that we've covered, but if you tell me a name, I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, that strikes a specific part of my brain. This one was a little difficult because I've heard about this woman on a lot of other podcasts. So I am very excited. Also, Kelly is somehow continuing a weird trend that she started many
very
years
long
ago.
time yeah.
In a way that you would not expect.
Right.
So I'm super excited for
It's
this
fun.
story.
All right.
Also, we covered Japanese ghosts and real Japanese,
There we
like,
go. We're covering our bases.
spooky bitches.
So this is Japan in the early 1900s. This is kind of like peak Japanese modernization, industrialization. This is just after like the Meiji Restoration. There was a lot of like territory expansion happening in Japan, as well as like this is where they're really like entering like the global market. We also see in the very, very early 1900s, Japan's victory in the Russo-Japanese War. There's a lot of like different shifting political and social and a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm not going to get into because like it doesn't fully play into it. But basically,
you're setting the scene.
Yeah, the 1900s was a period of change in Japan in basically almost every way you can think of, because this also interesting, unlike a lot of other countries where we talk about female suffrage, this brought a period of like male suffrage, like, and like what does that look like, and then as well as like international people trying to come into Japan, and what does that look like as well. So that's kind of the era we're in.
We actually, it's so interesting. So we went to the Pacific Atrocities Education Conference, which I would 100% go to again.
Oh,
That was fascinating.
Yep.
It was so worthwhile. It was so incredible. I feel like it's only going to get better. This was their first ever conference. And I'm
Yeah.
like, holy shit, are you fucking kidding
Exactly.
me? Well, we learned a lot more about the Russo-Japanese War and then the Sino-Japanese wars, including that. Apparently, it's Sino. I always said Sino.
I did too. I'm pretty sure that's how
was just reading it.
Well, and I'm pretty sure that's how like a teacher I had pronounced it at some point.
But I'm just gonna say, when people who actually study Japanese and Chinese history are saying Sino, that's what I'm gonna say. But that was kind of the first time that I actually really started to wrap my head around that period of Japanese history and those conflicts and like what Japan was doing, the global effects of it. Like really in the Pacific, World War II started a lot sooner than it did for everyone else. So it was super interesting. Definitely check out Pacific Atrocities Education. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram. You can find their website. They are working to create an archive of documents and information about the atrocities that were committed in the Pacific before, during, and after World War II. It's fascinating. It's incredibly important work. So.
Yeah, go check it out. So yeah, the world. I mean, not even just Japan. The world is modernizing at this point. In Japan, we're seeing a boom in a lot of cities, Tokyo in particular. However, women's options are still pretty limited. You have marriage or servitude or sex work, or if you're really lucky, becoming a geisha, which in doing this story, I learned a lot about how like us in the Western world very much associate geishas with sex work, but that is not the traditional case. Like originally they're very much like performing artists.
It's part of the interesting thing with that is that the idea of geishas being sex workers really came after World War II when American GIs, when the United States occupied Japan, and because American GIs don't know what the fuck is going on, like so,
and
women
there were some geishas that did conduct sex work, but being a geisha did not mean you were a sex worker.
For sure. But women would dress in traditional like kimonos and outfits and say they were geishas even though they were not trained in the traditional way, and so that's how it became synonymous with sex work.
Yeah, exactly. But mostly only in the Western world, and a lot of people in the Western world have never bothered to figure out otherwise, which is very sad. But so that's the world that Sada was born into. She was born in 1905, so literally like right at the end of the Russo-Japanese War, in Tokyo. She is the youngest of 8 kids to a respectable middle-class family. Only 4 of those children, including Sada, will reach adulthood, unfortunately. Her father is a tatami mat maker, so that is like the soft mats that are like traditional flooring in like Japanese rooms, so like very traditional family. And her mother would dote on Sada, who was the youngest surviving child, and basically kind of just like, when I say dote, like basically just allowed Sada to do whatever she wanted. Maybe not the best option. But
it's fine. I'm reading a book right now, and it's a spoiler alert, Holocaust memoir. But the woman writing it, she's the only daughter, and she talks about how she was just her father doted on her brothers doted on her, and like she's like, I was definitely like a self-centered child, but obviously she grew up and unfortunately grew up in awful circumstances. But it's like sometimes the daughter has like a special little place in people's heart, especially if they're the only one. And I don't know. I think that's sweet. Maybe it's just because
I think when you lose children too, like you kind of dote on the ones that come after them.
For sure. I mean, maybe I'm also just saying that because I'm an only child and I'm a daughter. So, and I have a special relationship with my dad.
So she also would encourage Sada to take lessons in singing and playing shamisen, which is a traditional like Japanese instrument. These are both activities at the time that were more closely associated with geishas, performance artists, than with like classical art, as today most people that play that instrument is it's a classical thing. And this is a time where geishas are considered like celebrities almost, because they're like actors essentially. And Sada kind of like imagined herself becoming one and kind of like lived in that image without actually being one, and would often like skip school to attend music lessons, and would wear a lot of that like traditional geisha makeup and like stuff like that. Unfortunately, her life was not all being doted on and pursuing the arts, and things would get a bit rough. One of her older brothers was creepy.
No.
And he would actually sell one of their sisters into prostitution.
What the fuck?
So things were not super wholesome. Eventually, like, the sister would come back, and because they were middle class, it surprisingly didn't ruin her chances at getting married, and so she was able to get married. But basically, like, problems would escalate between some of her older siblings, particularly that brother and sister.
Okay, here's the thing. I know that parents sold their children.
Yeah, apparently oldest brother is
servitude, into being geishas, into being like all this stuff. I don't know why the older brother, it's like, did the parents just come home one day and it's like, oh,
I guess, like,
that little scamp going and selling his sisters online again.
I didn't do, like, a ton of research because it's not about the sister, but she was viewed as, like, promiscuous. So, like, but still, like, yeah, it's odd that the oldest brother did it.
It's so fucked up that was also just something that you could do. Like, even parents, but like just any man in your family could sell you.
But basically, like, as family matters between the siblings escalated, Sada was left, like, more and more on her own, which I get. And she soon fell in, like, she would often leave the house on her own and kind of just, like, fuck around, basically. And she would soon fall into a group of, like, similar teenagers who were kind of independent or didn't have parental supervision or whatever. And at the age of 14, during one of these outings, trigger warning, Sada was raped by, like, one of the people in this group, like, not one of her close friends. But she was 14 and this person was, like, a university student. So it was, like, an older guy that was hanging out around these people. Initially, afterward, like, she told her parents, and initially they were pretty supportive.
Wow.
But soon kind of changed it, claiming that Sada had been irresponsible and uncontrollable, and they would sell her to a geisha house in Yokohama in 1922.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so the family creates an environment that is unhealthy and full of conflict and unhappiness. Yep. So she tries to get out of that environment, which is totally rational. She's also 14, so therefore she is vulnerable.
Yeah.
A grown man or someone, like, entirely too old enough to know better, if they're in university, assaults her, and then they're like, I guess you're damaged.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out and we get some money.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, and what's interesting is, like, she was 14 when that happened, and it wasn't until several years later that they sold her. So it was, like, a very interesting thing. What also interesting is, like, later at trial, because she's not a good person.
She does bad shit.
One of her family members would testify that it wasn't them selling her. She wished to become a geisha, and it was, like, a mutual understanding. However, Sada said, like, no, like, her father viewed her as, like, promiscuous, and it wasn't a choice.
Well, and I wonder if it was something where at first they saw her as a victim, but as she...
Yeah, depending on how she reacted to it.
I was going to say, as she probably had a very natural reaction to that trauma, and she probably became, in their eyes, more difficult to deal with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
More rebellious. She probably had outbursts. Like,
it probably just wasn't good because they weren't.
I mean, here's the thing. If you undergo that trauma and no one deals with it, you're going to have issues. And so by the end, at first they were probably sympathetic, and then they're like, you're just
too much. Yeah.
This is just becoming too much for us. And then, yeah.
So now, earlier I said, like, geishas were celebrities. And so, like, you're going to think the life sounds glamorous. You know, they're performing artists and entertainers. They're very traditional, you know, they do traditional dances and music and singing, and you're trained in the arts of conversation and, like, being a really good host and, like,
tea ceremonies.
It's a whole thing.
Makeup, fashion. I mean, you really are like a PhD in all of the social arts.
Very traditional too.
Yes.
Like, because they wear those like long trailing kimonos, very traditional hairstyles, very specific makeup.
They sleep with their necks on blocks to preserve those hairstyles too, because you can't do those every fucking day.
And they're hosts at parties, often for the wealthy, but they also perform on stages and festivals and all of this stuff. Unfortunately, the geisha house Sada was sold into was mostly just exploiting her, and her life. And so she was like trained as a low-ranking geisha. Because here's the thing: geishas are usually trained from like almost birth. Like if you're given up to be a geisha, it's from a very young age. So Sada was given up when she was like 16.
Yeah.
And so, like, she's way behind the curve, unfortunately, which means, she never really got above a low-ranking geisha, and which means she kind of got, like, the worst clients, and she wasn't really respected. She never reached that celebrity status, and unfortunately, the geisha house she was sold into was one of those that did dabble in the sex trade as well. Like I said, like, most geisha weren't, some did.
Well, it's kind of like for every Scarlett Johansson, there are thousands of girls who are just exploited and never quote unquote make it in the way that
and
they
unfortunately
want to.
Sada was one of those girls, and due to that, she, while at the geisha house, she actually eventually ended up contracting syphilis, which in Japan, because in Japan the sex trade is actually like regulated and very closely monitored and legal,
even at this time.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
But she was working as a geisha, not as a sex worker. But it still meant, because even though she was a geisha, which isn't correlated with sex work, they still want to keep her healthy, and so she would require undergoing regular physical examinations to make sure she wasn't gonna like pass it on to clients or anything like that. And it was at that time that she was kind of like, okay, if I'm gonna have to do this anyways and like go through these checks the same as a sex worker would, I might as well make more money. And she made the conscious choice to like leave the geisha house she was at to pursue sex work full time.
Here's the thing. I'm sorry, but that makes sense.
Oh yeah,
and
no, like right, like when I was writing this, I was like, yeah, girl, go get that money.
Well, and she may have made the conscious choice, but also the way that the system was set up kind of put her in that position. And we've talked about Japanese women before who advocate for women's rights, and one of the big issues was the demonization of sex work.
Yep.
And the whole idea was like, you don't give women another fucking option.
Yeah.
So what do you expect people to do?
Right.
So.
Also, one thing to note about Sada, like just as the story continues, is she was known to be like charismatic as all hell. Like everyone who met her said she was smart and funny and passionate and seductive. So it's kind of surprising she didn't make it as a geisha. But again, she wasn't trained. Like it's a very traditional art. It's very specific.
Okay, like I'm outing myself here. But most of what I know about geishas comes from reading Memoir of a Geisha.
Yeah.
It is incredibly intensive.
Like I said, it's usually like from, you think of like
or like very,
Sparta,
very young.
They would train the boys from like age 5 and on. That was the same for geishas.
And the character in that book, she's got these kind of like cloudy, like gray eyes, which make her very alluring and make her seem very exotic. So that's one of the reasons that she's so desirable.
So well.
But there is another girl that she grows up with whose name I think was Pumpkin, and she was just not a cute girl.
Yeah.
And they kind of knew she was never going to be a big deal. So she was definitely more in a servant role than the main character. And so I mean, even though she was very young, there's a lot of weird shit that goes into this.
But basically, she was passionate and she was pretty seductive, which is probably why the geisha house she worked at relegated to her to the role they did. And she was just known to be very, very charming, and she would kind of use that in her favor because you remember she was kind of doted on, and she was first doted on and then left to herself. So she grew up getting what she wanted. And Sada very much still wanted to live that way of like, yeah, society might not want me to have anything, but I'm going to do what I can to kind of rebel against
She's
that.
like, I know what it's like to get what you want, and I'm going to do what I
Yeah.
have to do to get what I want.
So when Sada entered the sex trade, she would work at Osaka's famous Tobita the Tobita brothel district, and would not only gain the reputation of being like someone that is like really seductive and stuff, but she would also kind of gain the reputation of a troublemaker. She would often steal money from clients and would attempt to leave the brothel several times, but every single time she was tracked down by the, as I already mentioned, well-organized legal prostitution system. And they would kind of be like, hey, this is where you say you're working. You can't just like fuck off and work somewhere random. Because like they track it so that like if something does happen.
Here's the thing. I get that. Also, I just want to point out that the whole idea of agency and choices you get to make, it's not inherently choices you get to make.
Yeah, exactly. So after 2 years, Sada would eventually succeed in leaving and would take a job, like the sex trade in general, actually, which is it's sometimes very, very hard, even though it is legalized, which is interesting, and took a job as a waitress. However, she wasn't satisfied with the amount of money she was making, so would return to sex work, though now she did it unlicensed so that she wouldn't be tracked, and began working in the unlicensed brothels of Osaka in 1932. Her mother would pass away, sadly, the next year, so she would travel back to Tokyo to kind of visit her father, see her mother's grave, and all of that stuff. She would choose to stay and enter the prostitution market in Tokyo, where she would become a mistress for the first time, which is basically like you're still doing sex work, but you're kind of a kept woman. It's very interesting.
It's kind of like an escort a little bit. Actually, I would say
it's more
escort,
like a sugar baby almost.
Yeah. Which, you know, here's the thing. Don't get me wrong. Especially at this time, I very much get the appeal of that because women are literally expected to find a man to take care of them.
Okay. And why not do it in that way?
So why the fuck not do this? You know?
Yep.
I know I could never.
Oh,
I know there's
couldn't
websites.
do it, but like, why not?
Well, and being on the A spectrum, I'm just like, just like close up. I just can't fucking.
There's no emotional connection. I don't think I could do it either.
I couldn't even take that one dude's money who was like, "You are lady of the night," and I'm like,
no,
nope.
Yeah. So her father would become gravely ill almost exactly like a year after her mom passed. And she would help nurse him until he passed, which was only like 10 days, but still, she was there. And the following year, she would be later that year, she would be arrested in a police raid on an unlicensed brothel because, like, while it is legal, they don't like when you do it unlicensed.
And if we're thinking about legalizing sex work, which I fully believe it should be legalized,
why not?
With an emphasis on protection of the workers.
You do have to crack down then on the unlicensed people.
I get that.
Yeah, exactly. I was just explaining why there was a police raid on it.
No, for sure. But it's also really sad that, you know, the system creates an environment where people are like, okay, I'm either trapped in this one place or I can do this on the low, like unlicensed. Yeah, exactly. So it's tough.
A man named Kinosuke Kashara, who was like a friend of the brothel owner, liked Sada and arranged for her release after the police raid. And after that, he approached Sada and was kind of like, hey, like, I'm really into you. Do you want to be my mistress? And she was like, sure.
Coming off of being arrested.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, this is a step up in the career. Let's do this.
Yeah, so he got a house for her and like provided an income. Like I said, very like sugar baby-esque
for sure
style thing. And he actually, like, again, later during his deposition to police. Afterward, he said, "She was really strong, a real powerful one. Even though I am pretty jaded, she was enough to astound me. She wasn't satisfied unless we did it 2, 3, 4, or 4 times a night. To her, it was unacceptable unless I got my hand on her private parts all night long. At first, it was great, but after a couple weeks, I got a little exhausted."
I'm sorry. That sounds exhausting.
They both went on. I didn't include the second part of his testimony because it gets kind of like awful, like the things he says about her, but like she kind of fires right back. And it's like several years after they were together that like the police deposition is. But yeah, by the end of it, they did not like each other.
It sounds like one of those really toxic relationships where it's like you should both leave each other alone, but you somehow can't.
I think like Sada is very much a toxic relationship person. We'll get into that. So Sada suggested that Kishar leave his wife to marry her, and he was like, no, like you're my mistress. That's the whole point of this.
You know why I would be like a really good mistress though? I don't want the marriage. I don't want the commitment.
Right, like just give me the money.
I know that's the promotion and that's the security. I don't want that.
But I think a lot of times when you're being like a sugar baby, you don't want that promotion. That's the entire point, is that like you get your independence without having to get married.
Exactly. I'm like, no. I'll shtup you, a few times a week, month, whatever, and then you just set me up. Like this is a job.
Yeah.
I don't want the marital part. I feel like the big downfall with mistresses is that they always want the commitment. And I'm like, honey, he's cheating on his wife. He's incapable of the commitment. He's proven that. You're not special.
Yeah.
I know I'm not special. Just give me the money.
So after like he said he wouldn't leave his wife, Sada asked if she could take another lover. He also said no, and
that's a dick move.
She was kind of just like, you know what, I'm done, and they parted, and it was fine. But she kind of left the city to get her space, which makes sense. So she went to Nagoya next. She kind of went back to the unlicensed sex industry, and then again kind of wanted to leave it. So she began working as a maid at a restaurant, and then became romantically involved with one of the customers, a man named Goro Omiya, who was a professor and a banker.
Ooh, that's hot.
Who was trying to become like a politician of the Diet of Japan.
Okay.
Political group.
Yeah. That's like the elite class.
Yeah. And knowing that the restaurant like probably wouldn't tolerate one of their maids like being sexual with one of their clients, and also just kind of bored in the smaller like town, she returned to Tokyo, and he would follow, kind of like it said they met, and I'm like, okay, so one of them followed the other, but so they met back up in Tokyo, and he found out that she had previously had syphilis. Instead of just like freaking out and dropping her, he actually paid for a stay at a hot springs, like at a nice resort from November to January, so a good like 3-month stay at a hot spring resort.
Okay, okay. Being on the A spectrum, there are certain things that like
I'm like that would be okay.
I'm just like
someone
not
can pay
okay
me
with.
for a 3-month stay at a hot spring.
I'm gonna say I could be convinced of certain things if I get to spend 3 months on vacation at a bitching Japanese hot spring.
Right.
I'm just saying, we've all got our limit. We've all got our line.
Honestly, like. This guy
if that dude at the hotel would be like, you are lady of the night for 3 months at Japanese hot spring, I would just be like
by myself? Yes. Because he didn't go with her.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Oh, exactly. It's like, oh, and you're not there?
Yes.
Fuck yes.
Right? So after her stay at the hot spring, he suggested that Sada could become financially independent if she like went on to open her own restaurant, and recommended like, hey, become an apprentice. Like you've worked in several restaurants. Like he's actually encouraging her to like figure her shit out.
Yeah, which is awesome
and kind of odd, but like awesome.
As someone who has tried and failed to fix people, someone needs to want to be better.
Yep. So Sada soon began to work at Yoshidaya, which was a restaurant. I was like, what is it? What is the word?
Restaurante.
As like an apprentice. So she began apprenticing there, kind of like I said, to like Mia had suggested like working toward her own restaurant. So that's what she's doing. And the owner of this restaurant was a man named Kichizo Ishida, who was 42 at the time. And he had started as an apprentice and then like worked up and now was the owner of the restaurant. And he had opened this in 1920. So he'd been running this restaurant for like 16 years.
Damn.
And when Sada joined, by that time Ishida had been like, they knew he was a womanizer. And he did very little. Like by the time she joined the restaurant 16 years in, he wasn't really running the restaurant. His wife was. So he was married.
Of course he was.
Yep.
Of course he was. Because no one can be married and happy in these stories, apparently.
So not long after Sada began working there, she kind of caught Ishida's eye and he began making advances toward her. Remember, she has like that guy she's kind of seeing and he's married, but they started an affair anyways. And it quickly became intense.
She's like, I don't have a ring on this finger. And he's like, I do, but I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. This is like 50 Shades of Grey erotic novel levels of obsessed with one another.
Are we talking tentacle porn here?
Not quite, but close.
All right.
Like they would lock themselves in hotel rooms for days, just going at it.
I'm sorry. If I'm locking myself in a hotel room for days, I'm binging House Hunters.
So originally, like the guess is that they planned for only a short fling. So the initial was just like 4 days. They spent 4 days together in bed.
Jesus
literally.
Christ.
Then they moved to another tea house in a different like neighborhood. And so at this time, like I say tea house, but they were basically like love hotels.
Yes.
That's literally what the internet says.
It's like a pay by the hour motel where it's like, there are motels and then there's motels where you pay by the hour.
Yeah, so they moved to a different one, continued to drink and have sex, and basically like only left the room to get more alcohol. They would like stay in bed, you know, having sex even as maids came in, or like they would sometimes
Jesus Christ, those poor maids.
He would sometimes like pay a geisha to like come and sing, which was pretty normal. Like they didn't like join in. They would just like stand in the room and like sing while the couple gets it on. It's a thing. Yep.
I wonder if Linfamy has a video about that.
If not, he should. They would then move to another hotel and it could basically continue it. Basically, Ishida and Sada did not return to the restaurant for 2 weeks.
Jesus Christ.
Like, how sore were you?
I'm sorry. That just sounds fucking exhausting.
I know. I'm like, how much did you sleep? Because it's like, I would have just wanted to sleep.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Could I fuck off for 2 weeks and like lock myself in a room? Absolutely.
Yes. Would I be having sex every day for every hour?
No. I'd be binging Golden Girls, Frasier, House
naps.
Hunters.
Are you kidding?
Oh my God. And taking naps between.
So many naps.
I would be falling asleep and then waking up to like different seasons of Frasier.
It would be fantastic.
Oh my God. I actually really want that.
And I'm like, Emily, we should take a 2-week vacation and just do that.
Actually, something that I've been kind of jazzing for, and I think it's because I keep seeing ads for like cabins and things, even like small cabins. In the winter, when there's snow on the ground, I just want to go to a cabin for a weekend,
like, light
and
a
not
fireplace,
leave.
and just not leave,
and just be like,
I want to do that too.
Do the
basically
whole
what I did for like my birthday, where it's like we're here and we're just not going anywhere.
That's fucking it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to do like the full on Huga thing,
I want to do that too.
where I'm like, I'm just cozy. I'm in my Snorlax Kigurumi. My dogs can be there and we're all cuddled and I'm just
you just
like
stock up on a bunch of food
and I'm just staring at the outside, eating snacks, watching
that's not what
TV.
They did. They just had sex.
I'm not saying that can't be part of it. I'm just saying it can't be all of it.
Yeah.
I need my carbs.
So unfortunately, after that 2-week stint, their relationship would kind of turn into a spiral of jealousy and possessiveness and erotic fixation.
So they fucking blew their load within the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Jesus, I know when you first start seeing someone, you want to be around them all the time. You can't, though, because you burn through it way too quickly.
So after a few weeks, they would return to a hotel, the last one that they were in. And during their lovemaking, this time, Sada had brought a knife and put it up to his genitals.
No.
And she said to him, she was like, you are not allowed to, like, if you ever play around with another woman. Remember, he's married.
He's fucking married, bitch!
But basically, like, I'll castrate you if you ever play around with another woman. Apparently, he kind of just, like, laughed at it, and then they went back to having sex. And I'm like, what? During this, like, later that night, on, like, several rounds of sex later, Sada began to choke Ishida. And he actually was like, yeah, keep going.
Oh, my God.
Because it was increasing his pleasure. Apparently, he was into erotic asphyxiation.
Not going to yuck on anyone's yum.
No. They would continue to do this, switching off, so sometimes he would choke her as well. And on the evening of May 16th, Sada would use her obi to cut off Ishida's breathing during his orgasm, and they both enjoyed it. And then they would repeat that for 2 more hours, which, Jesus Christ... one time after the strangulation, Ishida's face became distorted and would not return to its normal appearance.
Did he just have a fucking stroke?
He would take 30 tablets of a sedative called Calmatin to try to soothe his pain. And then, apparently, right before he fell asleep, he said to her, quote, "You'll put the cord around my neck and squeeze it again while I'm sleeping, won't you? If you start to strangle me, don't stop because it is so painful afterwards." Sada told the courts later that she was like, in the moment, I didn't know if he wanted to die. And then I later realized he was probably joking. Several hours later at about 2 a.m. while Ishida was still asleep, Sada did exactly what he said. She wrapped her sash twice around his neck and strangled him to death. She later told police, after I had killed Ishida, I felt totally at ease, as though a heavy burden had been lifted from my shoulders, and I felt a sense of clarity, end quote. It's what she did after the murder that has made her one of the most notorious figures in Japanese history, and Emily knows what's coming.
I am, I know the punchline, okay? I didn't remember all that led up to it, and just, if one of these people knew what a healthy fucking relationship looked
it might
like,
have been okay.
Or like the rules of kink, okay? Like, come on.
Yep.
This did not need to happen. Also, I love, she's like, oh yeah, he was probably kidding. It's like, I'm sorry you couldn't tell. Was his humor that dry, or are you just that fucking stupid?
He had taken 30 sedative pills
he was
before
also,
he said it.
You're
so
right.
He was probably
also
like,
fucking,
is she gonna strangle me in my sleep? Just do it. Pass out.
Jesus Christ. I'm sorry if someone's on drugs. Do not trust anything that they're saying.
So
they're an unreliable narrator, and please do not murder them.
After committing her murder,
Jesus,
she would lay with Ishida's body for several hours and then do what she originally promised and sever his penis and testicles with a kitchen knife.
What the fuck?
She would then wrap them in a magazine like cover and put them in her purse.
Please. Okay, is it bad that I want to know what magazine?
I know, right?
Was it like Glamour?
That'd be so funny. With the blood, she wrote Sada Ishida no Kichi Futari Kiri, which is we, Sada, and Kichi Ishida are alone. And she wrote that on his left thigh, like in his blood, and on the bed sheet. She carved her name into his arm, put on his underwear, and left at 8 a.m., telling the staff not to disturb him.
You know you fucked up when the fact that you've put on the underwear of the man you murdered is the least
weird
upsetting part of what you have done. Also, this feels like such a wild escalation. Like, I get she wasn't loyal to a specific man, you know?
And they had like 2 weeks of sex, and all of a sudden she was like, if you sleep with another woman, I'm cutting your penis off, and then I'm going to murder you.
And then He obviously didn't because they were together the whole time.
Yeah, right? Like, who else? Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like, this feels like such a left turn. Like, I'm not saying...
Like, she clearly had some issues.
She's obviously not someone who makes good decisions or healthy decisions, but there's making unhealthy decisions a la moi, and then there's this.
So...
Also, if you were wondering about the pattern that Kelly's repeating, it's the severed penis. She didn't put it in someone's pocket, though.
She put it in her own purse.
And she didn't take... I guess technically she kind of took it from a cadaver, but not in a
She
medical
did, yeah.
setting. Shit.
So after leaving the inn and the scene of the crime, Sada went and met her former lover, Omiya. She would repeatedly apologize to him, and Omiya would state later... Because obviously at the time, he was unaware that she murdered anyone. And so he assumed that the repeated apologizing was for her having another lover. He was like, okay, she's apologizing because she's sleeping with someone else, whatever.
Which is reasonable.
Yep. And obviously, like we know, Sada's apologies were for what she knows is going to happen. Because remember, he has these political aspirations, and she's like, yeah, I know you being associated with me is about to tank your entire fucking life.
Dude, I'm just going to say, never stick it in crazy.
Yeah.
Dick, pussy, fingers, whatever. You never stick it in crazy, especially if you have political aspirations. I will say, like,
his political aspirations did definitely tank once the story broke. Anyways.
Well, yeah.
So obviously later that day, Ishida's body was discovered and a search for Sade was launched because at this point she had gone missing. She really wasn't missing, but she was missing from the scene of the crime.
She had fled the scene.
So obviously once kind of details of what had happened were released, this caused a national sensation. And there was a huge frenzy over searching for Sada. And in fact, it was called the Abe Sada Panic. Like, they literally, like, yep.
I do have to say, it's pretty badass to have a whole panic named after you.
Like, police would receive sightings of Sada in multiple cities, and one false sighting nearly caused like a stampede in an area, which resulted in a huge traffic jam. It was problematic. On May 19th, 1936, Sada was just going about her day because apparently none of this bothers her. Literally, she just like wandered around Tokyo for like 3 days.
She's like the country's most wanted person, and she's just bebopping around one of the most populated cities in the whole country, just being like, what else? I'm going to Target now.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it.
I'm going to buy some fucking candles.
She went shopping and saw a movie.
God damn it.
She did use a pseudonym, and she stayed at an inn where she would have a massage and drink 3 bottles of beer. She would then write a bunch of farewell letters to Omiya and other friends. She would also write one to Ishida, even though he was dead. She did plan to commit suicide after the murder. Like, she was like going to wait a week, kind of finish out her stuff.
Girl,
she
you're
also
so
practiced some necrophilia.
What?
I'm not going to get into it. Like, a lot of the articles I read were like very detailed, and I intentionally cut that part out and just left it with necrophilia.
Wait. So did she go back where the body was?
No, she had his penis. She didn't need to go get the body.
Oh.
Yeah. It was weird. It was weird, Emily.
That couldn't have been good.
Yep.
I'm sorry. That couldn't have been good.
No. Nope.
There's no way.
It did not sound like it, but she...
Use a shower head like the rest of us, bitch.
Anytime she would go out, she would take his parts with her in her purse and sometimes even talk to them. When the police... So at 4 in the afternoon, police detectives, suspicious of the alias under which Sada had been registered, came to her room. She answered the door and literally told them, "Don't be so formal. You're looking for Sada Abe, right? Well, that's me. I'm Sada Abe."
I'm sorry. I'm just imagining her alias is like Dick Cutter, Master
That'd be
General,
so
or
funny.
something awful. And they're like, that's suspicious.
Yeah. When the police were not convinced that she was who she said she was, which, like, why would you?
God!
She pulled out his genitals as proof.
Make it stop!
She continued to be calm, polite, and even cooperative as she was arrested.
Well, she fucking knew. She knew she was going down for this.
And when asked, why she did that, she just said, I wanted to take a part of him that brought me the most vivid memories, and I couldn't take his whole body. Yep.
You know what? I'm sorry, honey. Men are more than their penis.
Right.
You're a bad feminist.
So the press fucking lost its mind.
I'm losing my mind.
Newspapers printed every detail they could get their hands on. The public became obsessed with the whole story. She was both respectively demonized and romanticized. She was viewed as a femme fatale, a tragic lover, a symbol of feminine desire gone too far, and all this other stuff. Yep. So obviously, she was arrested when she proved who she was and interrogated over 8 sessions, which I'm surprised. The interrogating officer was struck by Sada's demeanor, and when asked why she killed Ishida, she said, so this is a quote from the interrogating officer. Quote, okay. Immediately she became excited and her eyes sparkled in a strange way. She answered, quote, I loved him so much. I wanted him all to myself. But since we were not husband and wife, as long as he lived, he could be embraced by other women. I knew that if I killed him, no other woman could ever touch him again. And so I killed him.
It's okay. So if this was a man murdering a woman,
it's obsession.
I would immediately be like, it's the ownership. It's the dehumanization of the victim. Mm-hmm. It is the desire for ownership. It's the desire for control. What I'm curious about is why him? Because she obviously had a lot of guys kind of wrapped around her finger. So I mean,
so
maybe
it's
a mistake trying to rationalize her absurd, awful behavior.
What it sounded like is she viewed him as the only guy that ever could match her, because the other guy got tired of her, and then the other one was oh, let's change you, kind of.
He was the only dude who was as much of a sex pest as she was.
She didn't really know what love was. So to her, having a guy that was into the same thing she was and treated her decently,
who could lock himself and actually keep up for 4 days in a hotel room with her. She's
I'm not. Yeah, I'm sure there's more to it, but yeah.
I mean, the psychological profile of this woman would be fascinating.
There's a book on it. Literally, it's the psychological diagnosis of Sada Abe, and I'm I need to read that.
Hold on, I'm gonna see if it's on Audible. It'll be a nice palate cleanser after my Holocaust survivor memoir.
Yeah, you read weird books.
Here's the thing. You know what my most recent palate cleanser was? A book on the Lawson family murders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
The meaning of our tears. It was pretty good. It was pretty interesting. It was, if you're interested in that case, you have to read it. Just gonna say that.
That might not actually be the name of the book, but I know there is a book about that. She also wrote her own memoir, by the way.
Of course she did. I will say, this is a woman
it's the psychoanalytical diagnosis.
I will also say...
It was written in 1937.
Oh, shit.
And
okay.
I don't know if it was ever translated to
that
English.
Explains why it's not on Audible.
Yeah.
I will say, though, this is a woman who is... She's very into herself. She's very into her own legend. And I'm her family being into her and doting on her and supporting her.
I mean, she definitely still had some traumas.
Well, I don't think that's inherently a bad thing, but she definitely has that, I am the greatest good that anyone's ever going to get, and I need to find someone on my level.
Yeah.
And then when she found that alleged person, she did not know how to handle it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
In fact, that person was a deeply unhealthy choice in the first place because he's fucking married and he's kind of a shyster.
Yeah. So after her arrest, Ishida's penis and testicles were moved to the Tokyo University Medical School's Pathology Museum, and they were put on public display. They waited until after the end of World War II, and then they disappeared, so nobody really knows where they are.
I'm sorry. Wait, what year did this happen?
It didn't say what year. She was arrested.
When did she murder him?
I mean, she was arrested in 1936.
And his dick and testicles were on display until after World War II.
Yep, and then they just disappeared.
So at the earliest, 1945.
Yep.
And then they just went poof.
Yep.
This murdered man's genitalia was on display at a university until I'm sorry, that's super fucked.
Oh, yeah.
That is so...
I could totally see America doing that, though.
Here's the thing. I can, too. We had a murdered convict as a prop at Coney Island, and he wasn't discovered until they were filming an episode of, like, The $6 Million Man or something, and someone was like, wow, the prop in this haunted house looks weirdly correct and has a penis.
Yeah,
so
it's interesting.
I'm just like, here's the thing. I'm not dunking on Japan specifically. I'm just saying
it's fucked up.
The idea of a murder victim's genitals being put on, like, that's so dehumanizing.
Yep.
That's so awful. This poor man. Like, he may have been fucking around. He didn't deserve that.
So
and his poor fucking wife.
Sada's trial began on November 25th, 1936. At 5 a.m., crowds were gathered to attend this trial.
God, it's like 10 years that his dick was on display. That is so insane to me.
Even the trial's weird.
Okay.
So the judge presiding over the trial admitted later to being sexually aroused by some of the details involved in this case, but made sure that the trial was held with utmost seriousness. And I'm like, those two things do not belong in a sentence together.
You know, I'm just going to say, unless you like whipped out your dick and started masturbating, you don't have to admit you were turned on.
Just don't tell anyone
just
that.
Just don't talk about that. Just like fucking Christ.
Sada's statement before receiving her sentencing, she said, quote, "The thing I regret most about this incident is that I have come to be misunderstood as some kind of sexual pervert. There had never been a man in my life like Ishida. There were men I liked and with whom I slept without accepting money, but none made me feel the way I did toward him."
Because she does not know how to have a healthy relationship. Because, like, okay, imagine her parents doted on her and like made her feel loved and made her feel special.
While at the same time, she had this older brother who probably showed no compassion, and she saw her sister sold off.
Well, and then she was sold off.
Yep.
After experiencing extreme trauma, and her family did not know how to handle it. So if the people who make you feel special then do that, and here's the thing: I'm not excusing her behavior.
No, exactly.
Or any of this. I am trying to find the thin string of logic in this, because what she is saying does not make sense. But if you take into account that the people who made her feel loved and special then sold her off when she became too much, and she found someone who was like, you're not too much, you are like right on my level.
Yeah.
Of course she kind of freaked out.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it okay. Doesn't make it normal or appropriate.
Oh, God, no. So on December 21st, 1936, basically after almost a month-long trial, Sada was convicted of murder and mutilation of a corpse. Though the prosecution demanded 10 years, which I was like, for fucking murder?
I'm also just going to say...
she admitted it. She downright admitted it.
Remember my story last week where a crime was probably not committed? It took that jury 5 hours.
Well, I don't know how long it took the jury. I just know the trial lasted a month.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just going to say... From
and actually,
her marrying that dude to being executed took way less time.
I'm surprised that there was a trial at all, because like in Japan must be different, because in the United States, if you plead guilty to a crime, You don't go to trial. You just get sentenced.
Well, you can admit to a crime, you can confess, and then still plead innocent. And then it's a whole thing. Like,
no, but that's not, you don't plead, you take a different type of plea.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you plead guilty, you do not go to trial. You get sentenced.
The other thing is, and this is more modern Japan, so I can't speak for the era, but Japan is a culture that is very obsessed with appearances.
Well, it's very traditional too.
It's very traditional. It's very obsessed with appearances.
But 10 years for murder.
Their police force historically have not been great. Mm-hmm. They have attributed what are like straight up murders to suicide because they want to downplay their murder rate. There was I can't think of the name at this moment, but there was a sumo wrestler. He was murdered.
Yep.
He was murdered by his coach because he wanted to stop sumo wrestling.
And his coach was basically like, no.
Yep. And so his coach murdered him, which I'm like, he's gonna stop sumo wrestling either way, you fucking asshole. Why do you have to kill someone?
How does this solve your problem?
But his body was discovered. It was very obvious that this poor man had been beat to death, and the police were like, it's a suicide.
Yeah, no,
and
it
was I think it was his family or like outside voices had to compel the police to look further. I'm not saying that doesn't happen in the United States.
I'm just saying 10 years for murder.
Oh yeah, no. And like for all of the other shit she did, it's not even just the murder.
Yeah. So she actually asked for the death penalty, like during her sentencing. She wanted to die.
She is not okay.
But she was so they demanded 10 years. That was the prosecution. Her as the defendant asked for the death penalty, which is weird. They sentenced her to 6 years in prison.
There was an episode of Criminal that I listened to recently where someone was basically demanding the death penalty, but the laws in the state were like, no, there has to be an automatic appeal. You don't just get to die. Yeah. And so that is really interesting.
Yeah. So she was confined in the Tochigi Women's Penitentiary. She was prisoner number 11, in case people care about that.
Oh my God. It was so new. She was
I think they probably just recycle numbers.
Okay. Because I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
So her sentence was actually commuted on November 10th, 1940.
Stop.
On the occasion of the 2600th anniversary celebrations of the mythical founding of Japan when Emperor Jimmu came to the throne. So basically during the celebration, her sentence was commuted and she was released exactly 5 years after the day of the murder. May 17th, 1941 is when she was released from prison. So really, she only got 1 year, commuted, but still.
I mean, the idea that the governing bodies were we're having this really big political, rah Japan thing.
Let's release a murderer.
Who cut? Here's the thing.
Cut a guy's penis off.
Again, it's not even just the murder.
Yeah.
It's everything that came after that.
I feel like it's one thing if you're excusing political prisoners or something where it makes a little more sense, but some random murderer seems very odd.
Well,
it's probably because it's on the public consciousness.
Not even a random murderer, but someone who stole her murder victim's penis and then continued to use it sexually.
Yeah.
What?
Yep. So after her release, Sada attempted to live a pretty quiet life. She did do several interviews, but she never really sought them out. So one writer, Ango Sakaguchi, treated her as an authority on sexuality and freedom. I don't necessarily agree with that.
I don't think she's an authority on anything except her own fucked up bullshit.
The next year, a man named Ichiro Kamura's The Erotic Confessions of Abe Sada became a national bestseller. The interesting thing was he never actually interviewed Sada.
Stop.
And it was all even though the book was written in the form of an interview, it was all done from court transcripts. as a response to that book, which made her look like a sexual pervert, Sada wrote her own autobiography, Memoirs of Abe Sada, where she stressed her love for Ishida. She also did a bunch of interviews with like popular magazines and stuff like that. She even said in one of them, she was like, I was intending to lay low, but like since other people are writing books about it, like I'm going to come out and talk about it.
Okay, here's the thing. One, she really needs to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Two, though, I also understand if people are writing about her and characterizing her in a way that she does not agree with.
Yeah. She's basically just coming out to be like, hey, this isn't me.
I mean, she has served her time, as unfair as it seems, according to the national government.
Yeah, according to what she was sentenced.
She has served her time. She's been released. And we're always talking about women taking control of their own narratives.
Yep, here you go.
I will say, I think she is the most unreliable narrator in this situation, but also someone pretending that they did an interview with her from court transcripts is also incredibly unreliable.
That's kind of shitty.
And again, people are focusing on this wild, awful sexual element to the crime. Like this guy, the victim is Ishida is completely erased.
Yeah.
And I feel like we do it with Dahmer, we do it with Bundy, we do it with Kemper. Like a lot of these really famous serial killers, we focus on the killer because they're the aberration.
Yeah.
They're the outlier. They're the one that we don't understand.
Yeah.
We understand the women, we understand the victims and the boys and the men who were lured into dangerous situations by someone that shouldn't have been allowed to do these things.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. I get the obsession. I get the interest. But again, nowadays, I really hope that we would have a more victim-centric lens on this story. Also, again, she has served her time and she has been released.
Yep.
I can't blame her for telling quote
her
unquote
own story,
her side.
Yeah. So she would then
I blame the government for fucking letting her out.
She would then act in a traveling one-act stage production for a little while.
Jesus.
It didn't say it was about her. It just said a one-act stage production. And then she kind of settled down into a more quiet life. She began working at like just a local pub in downtown Tokyo. And she just kind of, became a normal person. She worked there for about 20 years. She was given a Model Employee Award. And the last known actual photograph of Sade Aba was taken in August of 1969.
Wow.
So
I will say it is wild the amount of history that she lived through. Like she saw.
Oh, yeah. She was born in 1905. She saw so much.
She saw both Sino-Japanese wars. She saw World War II. She saw both atomic bombs. She saw the occupation of Japan, the unconditional surrender. And then like in the 60s.
Yep.
That's not when she died. That's when the last known photograph of her was taken.
Yep.
That is because the story feels so old.
It does.
But it's not. And I think
like the main bulk of the story happens in like the 30s.
I know. But we even tell stories like that in, the United States.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, all this crazy stuff happened in the 30s and the person died in 1989. And we're like, what?
Yeah.
That's so recent. They knew what video games were?
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, the last known photograph is August 1969, and she's considered to have disappeared from the public eye in 1970. Whether she passed or something else happened is kind of up for debate. Apparently, a director who made a film a few years later searched for her and found her in a nunnery. Supposedly the cannibal murderer Issei Sagawa tracked her down to a nursing home.
Okay, you know what though? fuck that guy.
Yeah.
He's uncredible and he's a fucking piece of
what's
shit.
What's interesting is like he's not the one that said it. Like somebody else said that he found her, and not that he necessarily like killed her, but just that he like found her and talked to her.
You know what? People need to stop obsessing about Issei Sagawa because he is a fucking piece of shit who was never held accountable for the awful things he did and has continued basically building his persona. Sorry, I'm very passionate about that. He's a piece of shit.
Well, and if
I'm just saying, I don't agree with vigilante justice, but I'm not going to be mad.
Still alive in 1992, she would be 97 years old. Which isn't impossible.
I think.
But I feel like it's improbable.
I think that because Issei Sagawa, for anyone who doesn't know, he was
a cannibal murderer.
Yeah.
That's the simplest way to explain it.
We're going to say that he exploited someone's trust who, was friends with him.
Yeah.
It
was horrible.
Fled, in another country. He fled back to Japan. He was never held accountable for the awful, horrific things he did.
Yep.
And it's become also almost like a horror celebrity because people still talk about him.
Horrible.
He still does interviews and talks about how like he's a cannibal piece of shit. So he's kind of in that like psychosexual realm that I feel like they've put Sada Abe in. And so I feel like that's the connection that they're trying to make.
Probably.
Sorry, fuck both of them.
No, yeah, it was some like
dying
I
obscurity.
don't actually know who it was. Like I have the name, but I don't know like who he is. But it wasn't like Issei that said it. It was somebody else that was like, oh.
Well, again, I think someone is
making a connection that maybe doesn't exist.
Exactly, because they're connecting a historical sexual sadist kind of figure with a modern day one.
There is a possibility that she could have been 97 years old.
I mean, there is a possibility, but I generally think the connection between those two is probably bullshit.
Probably.
And
but
it's just really rude and disrespectful.
All we know is that she disappeared from public eye in 1970, whether she ended up in a nunnery or a nursing home or if she just passed away during that time, we don't know.
I feel like if that lady was going to go to a nunnery, it would have been earlier.
Maybe not, but probably. I feel like she would have gone like right after jail.
Yeah, and then like this is my reformation, and then she would have gone on to do whatever the hell she wanted.
Yeah. Either way, her story's lived on. There's plenty of books and plays and songs. I will say like the most recent is like the 70s. She's kind of died out. She very much is one that like I would not have told her story if it wasn't for Halloween and the way Emily's getting angry. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have told her.
No, it's here's the thing. I'm not angry at you for telling this story. I also want to recognize like we are a women's history podcast and very often we're like, you go girl.
But not all history is like
here's
that.
The thing. Women have done awful things. Men can also be victims.
Yeah.
And they should, and it's like, oh, well, she was a slut. She deserved it. Yeah, that dude was sleeping around. He did not deserve this.
Like, no one deserves
and
this.
He and his wife and his family did not receive justice because she had 5 years and then was able to go around and just be like, this is me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So
I think if this didn't provoke anger, it would be a problem.
Yeah.
It's also an absolutely batshit story.
Yeah.
Like.
So Sada's obviously like a complicated character. She was a murderer, a victim of trauma and repression. She was a woman who, in literally the most extreme way possible, claimed control over her body, her lover, and her narrative. And whatever the take on Sada is it's a story that like forces people to pay attention and confront something that society often wants to ignore, that women can desire, they can obsess, they can be terrible people, they can destroy just as equally as men can, and they can be just as horrible as men can. And that is her story. That is history. It is messy, it is morbid, it is at times horrible and unforgettable. But what's a little murder between lovers, Emily?
I don't know. I was
just gonna throw something at me.
I was in an awful relationship for 6 years. So
yeah,
like,
I'm glad.
I'm really good at justifying things.
But yeah, like it's.
But no, I think that's a really good thing because when we talk about women who murder, it's usually the husband was a dick. It was for money. It was poison. Like, this is a very traditionally masculine, like, sexual sadist murder.
Yeah,
Okay?
committed by a woman.
Committed by a woman who then was like, yeah, I know you're looking for me.
Well, and I think it's interesting that, like, she also is like, I'm not a sexual pervert. Yes, I am a person who likes sex, but that doesn't make me a sexual pervert.
Okay, I'm sorry, honey. It crossed the line when you started.
When you held a knife to his penis and then choked him.
I was going to say when she started fucking the dismembered penis, but
I mean,
we have different lines, I guess. Choking with consent is fine. Threatening someone's genitalia, not okay.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone
agree
to
with
think
that.
I'm like okay with inappropriate
Emily likes
sexual
knives
content.
in bed.
I absolutely don't.
Well, I think that's exactly it. Like, if you enjoy, like, if you and your partner both consensually enjoy knife play or choking or BDSM or whatever, great. When it becomes unsafe or one of you doesn't like it or it crosses that line from
Or one of you is fucked up
into murder
on a million sedatives.
You know, when your partner's asleep, maybe don't choke them.
I'm just, even if they asked for it, I'm just saying, if they asked for it when they were on so many drugs.
30 sedatives. I'm like, that would kill me.
I was gonna say, like, I have insomnia. I take sedatives to help me sleep.
But
can't
30
imagine.
of them?
I can't imagine. I think it would actually kill me.
No, exactly. I'm like, are we sure he wasn't dead before she choked him?
That is at best a cry for help.
Yeah.
Best case scenario,
honestly,
for help.
I would be crying for help if after being choked and having an orgasm, my face essentially acted like I had a stroke.
Yeah.
I would be like, please take me to the hospital. Also, we need to stop having sex.
Yes.
For a little while.
For a little. I need a 5. I'm gonna need a 5 here.
Once my face goes back to normal, we can start again.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so that's Sada Abe.
God.
The penis purse carrier. Emily's like, I don't think I can put that as the title.
I think I have to, though. I mean, I don't know what else to call her that's any better.
How mad will YouTube get?
I was actually thinking about that the other day.
A lot of people call her like the killer geisha, but I don't think that's right because it's not like she was still a geisha when she was killing.
Right. I might still do it, though.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just because... Okay, you know what? What's funny is, like, I've been watching a lot more YouTube videos and how they, like, censor out the swearing and stuff. And I was like, oh, shit, we're putting our podcast episodes on YouTube, and they are definitely not NSFW.
Well, we also don't have ads, so we're probably fine. I also mark us as, like, not for children.
Okay, thank God. Thank God.
It is interesting. You can... on the Columbia University website, you can read the police interrogation notes.
What?
Yep.
Can you put that? Okay, send me that link or
I will.
put it in your notes because I want to put it in the show notes.
Okay.
That's amazing. Because a lot of the literature about this case that we've talked about is old and not translated.
Yeah.
Even if it was translated, it's like, okay, that was almost 100 years ago. Like, I don't trust you.
Okay. You actually have to have like a subscription through it's because you have to have like a I didn't get to read it. I just knew it was out there.
I was working on some notes. I was working on some notes where I was able to access the abstract, but not the research paper itself without paying $50.
Or they're like, here's the reference page. And I'm like, that's incredibly helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I understand academics should be paid and compensated for their work and their research. Also, I be Poe.
Right? I'm like, I don't want to pay like $50 or whatever. Like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Dumb. Dumb.
I mean, I am a big advocate for knowledge should be shared by all, but I also understand that that's not the society we live in.
Right. So, Emily, Who are you whining about?
Well, we are switching places, and my story is the less intense one.
That's good. We're trying to balance each other out.
Mine, I guess, technically involves a crime, but it's very much more legendary.
Ooh.
So,
fancy.
Basically.
Okay.
Last week's story for me was a lot. It was not what I was intending. It was not what I was looking for. So this week, I decided to tell a story.
This is your palate cleanser.
This is my palate cleanser. And it's really a testament for what qualifies as a palate cleanser.
I mean, your palate cleanser is a Holocaust book, Emily.
Okay, that's not my palate cleanser. My palate cleanser was a family annihilator who killed himself, and we all definitely know he did it. So we have conclusion. We have a semblance of justice. We know what happened. Holocaust survivor, not the palate cleanser. The loss and family murder was the palate cleanser. Okay.
You're a weirdo.
This is my palate cleanser. So this story was fun just for me. This is actually the story when you were telling me about the Italian bride that I thought maybe you were covering because Illinois, ghost, graveyard, lady on the side of the road. There were a lot of elements that really fit, but fortunately you did not cover her. So today I am whining about Resurrection Mary.
Ooh.
This is and this is a really infamous like Illinois ghost story. I think like this story is specific to Illinois, but she fits into the hitchhiking ghost genre trope. So, here we are. It was January 1979, and career taxi driver Ralph was making his rounds. The Chicago area offered plenty of opportunities for a cab driver, both in and outside of the city limits. One of my formative memories, actually, is my mom and I taking a cab in Chicago. I think we were me and my dad somewhere because, like, I lived like 2 hours south of Chicago, so we would do like weekends or day trips. And the driver was like really pissed off at the traffic and was just, oh my God, dropping words that my little brain did not have the capacity for. And I kind of looked at my mom and she just kind of looked at me and she's like, let it go. I think that's, and that's why I was like,
formative years
is okay. But you know, it's one of those things that you're just like, okay, as long as they get us from point A to point B safely, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're not swearing at me.
Yeah.
They can swear at traffic. And now, as a driver,
you're like, I get it.
I totally get it. Actually, Q was in the car with me, and I was upset at a driver, and I was just like, that's it, friend. We can do this.
That's funny.
That's right. Use your turns. And I thought I was being super bitchy. And she's like, wow, you're way more like nice than my mom. My mom is like, man. It's like,
that's funny.
Well,
it's like it's funny because like her brother's a backseat, like her younger brother is a backseat driver.
Baby Jay is like, you go fast. Go faster. Go now. He just turned 3. And I'm like, God, he's an adorable little monster. I sometimes Q video chats me and then Jay will come in the room and he's just like all over. I love them so much. I love them so much. But yeah, Jay is a backseat driver. So Chicago offered plenty of opportunities for cab drivers, but today Ralph was a little lost. Quote, I dropped off this big spender way the hell down in Palos Heights or Hills or someplace, and I was trying to make my way back to the tollway. I just turned on Archer, down there where it's still a lonely road, especially at midnight.
Ooh.
We have some first-person accounts, which I was very
Lover's
excited
Lane,
for this.
it sounds like, but probably not.
It's not, but it definitely feels that way.
Okay. What's the vibe I'm getting?
Driving on Archer Avenue, just outside the city limits, Ralph spotted a young woman standing by a shopping center. Quote, she was a looker, a blonde. I didn't have ideas or like that.
I love that he immediately was like, I wasn't
like,
thinking anything,
whoa,
guys.
Whoa, I gotta clarify, which like, good on you, Ralph, because we all know, like,
Sometimes people be creepy.
Sometimes men. Okay, why men sometimes? She was young enough to be my daughter, 21 tops. He's like, whoa, she was cute, but I wasn't like being like that. Ralph also noticed that she wasn't, Ralph also noticed what she was wearing or not wearing.
Oh, no.
No coat.
No shoes.
No coat, he recalled. January in Chicago is no joke. So anyone standing outside without a coat was definitely odd. What the woman was wearing was a, quote, fancy kind of white dress, like she'd just been to a wedding or something. I'm sorry, if you're wearing a white dress to a wedding and you're not the bride, you were in the wrong. Anyway.
Come on, Ralph. Get your shit together.
He's a dude. He doesn't know what's appropriate at weddings. The woman stood there staring at Ralph's cab. She didn't stick out her thumb or hail it, just stared. But Ralph could recognize someone who needed a ride, so he pulled over. Quote, I figured maybe she had car trouble or something. Ralph asked the woman where she was going. I have to get home, she replied.
Oh, God, this reminds me of a Supernatural episode all of a sudden.
Ralph asked her if she had car trouble and what she was doing out here at midnight with no coat. She didn't respond. She was fuzzy, Ralph recalled. Maybe she'd had a couple of drinks or something, or was just tired. I don't know. The woman climbed into the cab. She didn't say much during the drive, mostly nodding when Ralph asked if they needed to keep going up Archer. All she said was, the snow came early this year, to which Ralph nodded. I have to say that is the most Midwest thing.
Yep.
Like, if you say
Some
anything,
kind of weather talk.
it's about the weather. The drive was odd, but certainly not the craziest thing Ralph had ever experienced.
Cab driver in Chicago? No way.
Absolutely not. The young woman just stared out the window as the snow-covered trees passed by. Quote, her mind was a million miles away, he recalled. He thought that maybe she was drunk or high. I mean, this is the 70s. It could be either or both. A few miles up Archer Avenue, the woman suddenly jumped up in her seat and shouted, here, here! Ralph slammed on the brakes. Looking around, Ralph didn't see a house or an apartment building or anything that someone might call home. Where? He asked. There, she cried, pointing across the road to Ralph's left. Ralph turned and spied a small shack sitting in the darkness. Surely this couldn't be the place, and if it was, Ralph may have been worried about how she was going to pay her fare. Ralph turned back to the woman. Vanished, he recalled. She was gone, and the door never opened. May the good Lord strike me dead. It never opened.
Oh, damn.
Ralph's story is just one of many like it. What he didn't realize was that he had just experienced an encounter with one of Chicago's most famous ghosts, Resurrection Mary.
It's another Lady in White story.
We're returning to the land of my birth, Illinois, to talk about Resurrection Mary, everyone's favorite fare-dodging hitchhiking ghost. According to family lore, Mary was a young woman in the 1920s or 30s. Decades are pretty insignificant when you're talking about 100 years ago, which makes me sick right now because I can't believe that's 100 years ago. She was living in Willow Springs, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. One evening, she was out dancing at the O. Henry Ballroom, located on Archer Avenue. Oh, Henry, oh, Henry. My friend and I had a kid in the toddler room whose name was Henry, and I always called him Henry, oh, Henry. And we started, like, doing a joke between him and I, where I would say, like, Henry, you're so silly. And he would go, no. And I was like, and so I kept saying things and then he would go, no. And it was so funny. And like, I'm sorry, working with toddlers, you're a little bit, And by a little bit, I mean deeply broken. So I looked at my co-teacher and I just went, oh my God. Like, I just went, oh my, there is a God. And then Henry goes, no. And I'm like, oh shit. So whenever I think of Henry or oh Henry, that's what I think of. Anyway, so she's dancing at the O. Henry Ballroom on Archer Avenue, but things aren't going great. Mary and her boyfriend got into an argument. Angry, Mary stormed out of the ballroom and began walking up Archer Avenue.
It's always a bad idea.
Here's the thing, though. Staying with the dude who pissed you off is
but,
also
like,
a bad idea.
Stand in the entryway and call a fucking taxi. Don't just walk up a street by yourself.
I will say, you have to find another lady in the room and just be like, my boyfriend's being a dick. Will you support me in this? Because I guarantee she's going to be like,
hell yeah.
Sis, I got you.
Yeah.
And if she doesn't, she's a piece of shit and you move on to the next woman.
Yeah, like you'll find someone.
100%. So perhaps she was planning on walking home or she just needed time to cool off. It doesn't really matter because not long after she began her walk, she was struck by a car.
Oh.
The driver fled the scene, and we can only hope that Mary was killed instantly. The next morning, her parents went out searching for her. Mary had never come home, and they were worried. When they found her mangled body, they collapsed in grief.
Aww.
I'm like, that's why I'm
so sad.
I hope she was killed instantly, because the idea that she could have been suffering for
just like laying there,
like until the early morning or like any period after that is just it's too much. So herstory headcanon, instant, no suffering, we're done here. Mary was buried at Resurrection Cemetery, dressed in a white dancing dress and matching shoes. Resurrection Cemetery is also located on Archer Avenue, the same street she was killed on. The hit and run driver was never found. Because when you run someone over at midnight and there's no witnesses, fuck. It's a tragic story and not a unique one. What's strange is that despite being dead, Mary wouldn't stay buried.
Oh, damn.
Beginning in the 1930s, people began reporting seeing a young female hitchhiker standing on Archer Avenue, always dressed in a white party dress, sporting light blonde hair and blue eyes. The woman asked for the driver to take her home. When they began to approach Resurrection Cemetery, she would disappear. In one of the earliest stories, a young man danced with Mary at the ballroom all night, only for her to disappear from his car when he took her home.
Oh, damn.
Classic white lady hitchhiker ghost. But who was Mary? Was she even real? Efforts to identify Resurrection Mary, as she's become known, have been unsuccessful. It sounds like maybe she's an amalgamation of different women who met similar fates. In 1934, a woman named Mary Brigovi was killed in a car accident in the Chicago Loop, which is like in the center of Chicago. It's not like on the outskirts. It's like in the main part of Chicago. Another woman, Anna Marija Norcas, was killed in 1927 in a car accident on her way home from the O. Henry Ballroom. This theory, brought forth by author Ursula Bileski in 1999, has become particularly popular. I honestly, the idea that there are multiple women with the with the
like
name Mary associated
yeah.
in that area who have been killed in car accidents and like hit and runs, and that it's just
Sucks.
it's like there shouldn't be so many candidates. So.
Well, I mean, I wonder if maybe even the car accident is a guess, you know.
Yeah. So Anna Norcas was a 12-year-old girl living in the south side of Chicago. A second-generation Lithuanian American, Anna loved music, dancing, and just had this real zest for life. The kind of zest for life you have when you're 12 and you feel like everything is possible. She was very close with her Fogger, Jesus fucking Christ. Father August. God damn you, dyslexia. Anna was known by many names. There was Ona, her Lithuanian name, Anna, her Americanized name, and then Mariha, or Mary, as her middle name. Anna loved dancing and was constantly begging her father, that time I did it on purpose, to let her go out to the O. Henry Ballroom. On July 27th, 1927, Anna's father took her to the famous ballroom along with his friend and his friend's date. On the way home around 1:30 a.m., while passing Resurrection Cemetery on Archer Avenue, the car careened into a 25-foot deep railroad cut.
What?
Killing Anna instantly. I don't know.
I don't like you, Emily.
I don't know. There's just like a hole in the ground, and there were no appropriate signs.
What the fuck is a railroad cut?
I don't know. Maybe they were building
Why
a railroad,
are you killing a
and
12-year-old girl in your story.
they dug a ditch.
Upset.
Okay, I'm sorry. You had a severed necrophilia penis in yours. Do not come at me.
You knew that was coming.
I know, but I forgot she had sex with. I knew she cut it off. I forgot that she had sex with it.
So is this another candidate for Resurrection Mary?
So this is the documented story that is probably most likely to be the basis for Resurrection Mary. So August, Anna's father, survived the crash but was never the same. He was blamed for Anna's death, with people saying it was divine punishment for letting a young girl go out dancing.
Jesus Christ.
Fuck those people. August held the city responsible for not properly warning travelers of the hole.
Yeah, I feel
totally
like that's
reasonable.
Valid. Yeah.
There we go. I don't know what reflective sign technology was in 1927, but they should have done better. In fact, the same night that Anna died, another man was killed driving into the same fucking hole.
Wow.
God damn it.
Yeah, I feel like the hole is the problem.
ILDOT, do better. Anna Norkus was not buried in Resurrection Cemetery, but rather at St. Casimir Cemetery. Happy Kazimierz Polański Day.
What?
He's a really famous Polish guy who everyone in Illinois loves, and Casimir Pulaski Day is a thing.
I literally never heard of it.
I know, because you didn't grow up in Illinois. It's weird. So she was buried in St. Casimir Cemetery, or at least she was supposed to be.
What?
On the day of her funeral, the gravediggers were striking.
What?
Leading.
I didn't realize gravedigger. I mean, it makes sense, but
actually, during the bubonic plague, they struck for better pay and rights. Because I remember
that's smart.
People were talking about that during COVID because they were like, retail workers should fucking organize.
Yeah.
I don't think it really happened, but hashtag not all heroes wear capes, but we still pay the minimum wage.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can't imagine working at a grocery store and putting my health at risk for fucking
people that
minimum
are just
wage.
Get angry at me.
Well, and people were, especially in retail, people were so awful.
Yeah.
Oh
We're
my
so far off
God.
track, yeah.
Sorry. Here's the thing. It's always going to be relevant. So the gravediggers were on strike. And so it leads to the possibility that instead of being buried at St. Casimir Cemetery, Anna Norkus was actually buried in Resurrection Cemetery.
They don't know?
They don't know faux show.
That's weird.
This would also help explain why her spirit is so restless, desperate to get home. Mary's story is sad.
Yeah.
Youth snuffed out in its prime, suddenly, tragically, needlessly.
Yeah.
There are many versions of Resurrection Mary and similar hitchhiking ghosts. And the saddest part of these stories is that despite their simple desire to go home and a wealth of unsuspecting good Samaritans, the poor girl is doomed to repeat the ritual for all eternity, desperately trying to go home, but never quite able to.
Oh.
And now that I have made Kelly cry, I can say that is my story of Resurrection Mary.
Thanks, Emily.
So honestly, this is just my plug to pick up hitchhikers. Please don't. No, I'm kidding. Please don't. Don't do it. Unless you're a murderer, in which case you're like, yes.
I mean, hitchhiking in Minnesota is illegal anyways.
You know, I actually saw a hitchhiker in real life once. And it was the most bizarre thing in the world. Like, dude on the side of the road, like thumb outstretched with a backpack and everything.
Really?
And I was just like, I kind of thought maybe he was a ghost. Like my mom was driving and I was like, is that fucking real? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, what? Like people do that anymore? And actually, so Wine and Crime do a really good episode on hitchhiking crimes and the idea. And basically, hitchhiking was actually relatively safe.
Yeah.
But the car industry was very into like demonizing ride sharing.
Well, they also
basically
demonized like jaywalking. That was all the car industry.
Exactly. So they're like, you're not allowed to walk. You're not allowed to ride share.
Yeah.
You can only buy a car and then drive it yourself.
Yep.
So here's the thing that I'm not advocating for people getting into strangers' cars. Absolutely fuck no.
Sounds like you are.
Especially nowadays, because I'm like, anyone who picks up a hitchhiker nowadays where it's not common at all is a psycho. Anyone who's hitchhiking nowadays when it's not common is a psycho. Just don't fucking do it. Okay?
Okay.
But we did maybe have an opportunity where it was like
briefly safe.
Briefly less dangerous than it is today.
Okay.
So speaking of hitchhiking, should we read from the Book of Brave?
Yeah, it's your turn.
All right.
We're on day 16.
Wait, I thought we were on day 18.
I don't know.
Weren't we on day 17 last week?
I don't remember.
Time is made up. We're on day 18.
Okay.
Oh, shit. This is fun. Pray. That's what the chapter is called.
Oh, great.
This is the confidence we have in approaching Ruby Rubin, that if we ask anything according to her will, she hears us. I've had a long and maybe complicated relationship with prayer. Hashtag relatable. I know it is real. I know it is powerful. I know Ruby Rubin hears us. However, that doesn't mean I have always gotten what I wanted. But the first time I remember Ruby Rubin absolutely answering one of my prayers is when I was 9 years old, in the spring of my 3rd grade year. I started in our church children musical. Okay, to say I was the star is a bit of an exaggeration because while it was true in my heart, I'm pretty sure I was just one of the stars. Fine, one of the cast members. 100% how school plays went. Although I will say, I got to play Mary in a school play, and I got to play the Black Cat in the Brementown Musicians, which was the role I wanted. And I got to play February in a different play where I was like one of the main characters. I think I was just like really good at memorizing shit.
Nice.
And I had a flair for the dramatic.
You still do.
I mean, it's paid off. I should email my 2nd grade teacher and be like, hey, remember when I was the cat in the Brementown Musicians? Well, that paid off. I now have a moderate career in podcasting.
There you go.
A delightful hobby in podcasting.
There you go.
Oh my God. Okay, sorry, words. I was little salty, P-S-A-L-T-Y. I'm going to say salty. For those who don't know, Salty is a singing hymnal who teaches children about Ruby Rubin.
What?
I've never heard of that. I'm a bad Catholic.
I mean, I never heard of it either.
I strapped on this huge blue cardboard costume shaped like a hymnal, and I threw a baseball bat over my shoulder. This sounds like the productions I was in Catholic school. I then walked through the crowd singing the beautiful old hymn, Take My Life and Let It Be.
Okay.
I'm sorry. When you're strapped into blue cardboard carrying a baseball bat shouting, Take My Life and Let It Be, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Oh, did I mention I was a male character? So that's a special part of the story. There is no shame in that. When I got home from school the day of the musical, my mom was in her bed, all the lights off in her room, with a migraine. Relatable. My life is filled with memories of migraines. When I was a kid, we took my mother to the hospital for them or left the house with my dad so she would have peace and quiet. It's got to be hard having a parent with like a chronic illness where you
migraines
have to,
are bitch.
Migraines are so awful because like everyone and everything around you is
Awful.
the worst.
Yeah.
Like there's no way for children to exist around someone with a migraine.
It's like one of the only times like throwing up and migraines are like the only reasons I call into work.
Yes. I recently did that. I had a really bad migraine and I was just like, I would rather die right now. That day when I saw my mom in bed, I knew immediately that it was bad. She whispered to me in her headache voice that she was sorry, but she wasn't going to be able to make it to the performance that night. Oh, when you're in third grade, that is devastating.
That's heartbreaking, yeah.
So we emceed the recent History Center Creepy Dolls event. My mom wasn't able to make it, and I was I called her being like, "Oh, are you going to be there?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't drive at night." So my dad made it. They don't like to drive together though. It's a weird dynamic. I'm in my 30s. And I was genuinely disappointed. I wasn't mad. I didn't blame her. Like, I understand it in the way an adult
still, like,
can.
sad.
But I was still bummed.
Yeah.
You know, so I can't imagine being in third grade and your mom isn't able to show up for your thing that you're super excited about.
You kind of understand because you've been around her migraines for most of your life.
Yeah,
but it's sad.
Still a huge bummer. Well, my tender little third grade heart was broken. I ran up the stairs to my room, threw my book bag on the floor, knelt down beside my bed, clasped my hands together, and prayed as hard as my heart knew how to pray. I don't recall every word spoken during that fervent kid prayer. This is like one of the most real chapters I think we've read. I know I prayed Ruby Rubin would heal Mama's headache so she could come to the performance. I begged like only a 9-year-old knows how, with eyes squeezed tight and repeating the same few phrases over and over again. I feel this.
Oh, yeah.
I've been there.
Yep.
Later that night at the church, with just minutes until the curtain went up, someone whispered my name. I was standing on the stage ready to sing, and there was my mom on the side of the stage telling me she had made it. I'm gonna fucking cry.
Oh, that had to be like the best thing
I'm
for
gonna
like
cry
this little kid.
Right fucking now.
I can feel it in my chest.
This is the first time I've understood why this woman has written that book.
Yeah.
If I had that experience, I would have
believer.
also written this fucking book. There's also a little like side note in here that says prayer is this amazing opportunity to connect directly with the greatest being who has always been. I know it's like a Hallmark movie moment, and that's when I learned that prayer is powerful. Since then I've had prayers answered just like that in the exact way I thought, and I've had prayers seemingly never answered. I've had other situations I've prayed about that went so differently that I wondered if Ruby Rubin and I spoke the same language. I think that's where the courage comes in. Are you brave enough to pray and believe that Ruby Rubin hears you and changes things? Are you brave enough to believe with your whole heart that Ruby Rubin will do something miraculous? Are you brave enough to say the first words to her after you've been silent for a while? Prayer isn't about us, really. Prayer is this amazing opportunity to connect directly with the greatest being who has always been. And it takes courage to know that for yourself. So pray. Ruby Rubin is absolutely real, and she is listening. Be brave. Pray today, whether it's a short sentence muttered under your breath or a few paragraphs written out in your journal. Talk to Ruby Rubin. She is listening. Again, I love this idea of voicing your feelings, your wants, your needs, whether you say it out loud, whether you think it, whether you write it down, and just believing that, because again, I personally believe in something bigger than myself because I think otherwise I would actually kill myself.
Right.
But believing in something bigger than yourself or forces that you, or just even acknowledging that the world entails things that you won't and never will understand.
Yeah.
Is actually kind of comforting because it's like, okay, when things don't go the way I think they should, that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means there's stuff happening that I cannot understand.
Yeah.
And I think voicing your feelings, however that looks to you, is really powerful and important. And like, you know, remember when manifesting was like really big? That's basically just a different word for prayer. When you're like, I'm going to do this, or I want this, or I want this to happen. You like make a vision board, or you say it out loud, or you write it down. You manifest that opportunity. That's just another version of prayer, really. Yeah. It's like a non-secular version. So.
That's a good point.
Cool. Well, I'm going to manifest that this podcast is hugely successful and I can quit all my jobs to focus on this entirely.
That would be nice.
That would be nice. I will say, so
we're doing okay.
Speaking to the sentence in there that was like, are we even speaking the same language? We have had some really incredible opportunities that I would have never even thought to wish for.
Oh, yeah.
Like performing for World War II veterans, including Pearl Harbor and Indianapolis
amazing.
Survivors, going to the Pacific Atrocities Education
being invited,
being invited as media, the relationships and the friendships that we've formed, connecting with Remedial Herstory Project, getting to perform at the History Center and other performance opportunities, and even just like, honestly, I feel like I've personally found more confidence in myself.
Yeah.
Through the podcast and like who I am and my persona and my outwardness. I just talked about confidence and I couldn't like verbalize that. But you know, like when I speak
my outwardness.
But when I speak to people, I'm like, I feel like I know more of who I am and how to approach people and like how to approach people in a confident and genuine way. So
nice.
Well, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Whining About Herstory. Like us on Facebook at Whining About Herstory, Instagram at WAHPAD.
Our website is whiningaboutherstory.com, where you can find a link to all of that, plus a link to our merch and a link to the Buy Me a Coffee and Patreon that Emily has already mentioned.
We've got limited Halloween spooky bitch season merch that is going to go away in early November, so get that shit right now.
Get it.
Blackula is calling you, bitches. And the horrors that persist.
The horrors that persist.
Just fucking go and look at it. There's also like
they're beautiful.
There's also like a Danuta Danielson piece on there that I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
That just like came from nowhere, and I was just like, yeah.
You were like this
purses, and fucking up Nazis. I don't know. It just felt like, very relevant.
Yeah.
Also, raise 5 stars wherever you listen because it gives us the warm fuzzies and pisses off all the right people, which include Nazis.
Yeah, legit.
Hey, do you want to piss off a Nazi? You want to piss off a Nazi right fucking now?
Give us 5 stars.
Raise 5 stars. 5 stars. Nazis fucking hate this shit.
Or buy the Danuta Danielson stuff. That would probably also pick them up.
I will say, I actually need to order like a sample of that because I'm really happy with that design. And I feel like it's just like very relevant for all of us today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Whining About Herstory. I'm Emily.
I'm Kelly.
Have an empowered day, bitches.
Bye.
Seriously, please don't cut off anyone's penis. And as a government, don't just